Hi, and welcome to the Diablo podcast, your home for Diablo diehards, tryhards, casual, and hardcore alike. I am your host, Xanth, and today, first, let's give a shout out to our missing co-host, Nineball. He's he's in the weeds. He's out there. He will be back. He didn't quit. Don't view his absence as
Blessings to Nine Ball.
as a sign of his departure. It's just life happens. In the meantime, I'm once again joined by my other lovely co-host, Nerdwards.
Hello.
And we are here today to chat about, well, this might surprise you on the Diablo podcast, Diablo. Uh, we will celebrate the tail end of what has been dubbed by me, and really just me alone, ARPG April. It is a magical month in which we have seen a major release for the big three in the ARPG genre, and it's hitting its tail end here with the new season of Diablo 4. So we're going to talk about that. We'll dig into the new season, the fireside chat, our plans for the season, as well as the battle pass. We're going to save the battle pass for the end. I think that's where the meat of the conversation is going to be. So if you're just wanting to get angry, you can skip ahead, go to that part, and vent your frustrations. Okay, so we're talking the new Diablo season. We got a new fireside chat. Um, what are your thoughts as you dug into it? It was a lengthy one. They're always pretty lengthy. But this one, it felt longer. It even had a very meta moment in which Adam had to toss to himself to give an advertisement for a battle pass, which was weird. It felt very addy. Like but I get the we're not going to explain it. Well, we already recorded the explanation. Okay, but what were your thoughts?
Well, I mean, I think that was more of a production thing than anything. Someone was sick that day, so Adam had to fill in. So he wasn't supposed to host, and then last minute he had to host, which I'd rather that than someone us have to move the thing, and hopefully they're okay. But yeah, I mean, so much of that is scripted and like thought about and kind of gone over ahead of time that like it kind of breaks that um I don't know, immersion. It's a fireside chat, so I don't know about that either. But it's just like it was a little weird, but I mean, I didn't think it was a big deal at all. Just a production thing. And no, I thought the chat was good overall. I mean, they had some good insights. They went into some stuff about the PTR and about some of the changes they plan to make. And I think the biggest one was really to calm people's nerves about how wide the swings were on PTR and to like explicitly state that they're going to swing really big on the PTR and make big changes and some stuff's gonna be broken and silly. And then, but that's not their intent. Their intent is to see how far they can push it, and they can do that on PTR a lot safer than doing it on live or in the middle of a season. So that's what PTR is for. It's for testing. So I think overall, really, really good. But um, yeah, no, I mean, I thought the chat was really good overall, and I really like to hear some of their insights. I did find it interesting that they kind of walked back part of their um whatchamacallit, they walked back part of their philosophy on Torment 4 being aspirational content. I think they quantified that a bit more and kind of saying more of a time gate than aspirational in the sense of difficulty. Like if you play long enough and grind enough and optimize, you will get there. Um, so that was good to hear too. But overall, it's a good chat.
Yeah, it if you were watching there just for a second, those of you who are video watchers, you saw my screen disappear and reappear. My camera's decided to just be weird. Bear with me. Maybe I'll freeze at some interesting moments. Um, no, I think you bring up a good point. First, I mean, obviously production does happen. The the PTR is still, I guess, if we're looking at this game in its infancy, right? Um, we've only had it a handful of times. Having a knee jerk reaction to the way the PTR is, and assuming that that will be the case for um, everything, is it? It's weird. right? You didn't PTR, right?
I did not. No, not this time.
And
Normally I do a little bit, but
yeah,
not this time.
I opted to bypass the PTR as well. I think if anything that has helped my expectations for the season because I didn't burn myself on something overpowered or I don't know. There's still a lot to get to play with at the moment. I think that is the most beneficial. But yeah, that the point of a PTR is to test things, and if you use that as just this lens to view the game, then that's wrong. We wanted this, right? For so long. We're like, we need to have this so all this broken stuff still, doesn't crop up. Now, we've had a PTR a few times. And then something broken usually does crop up. When
Oh
do you
yeah.
think how far into the season do you think it'll be when trading is disabled?
24 hours.
Okay. That's what it
24
every
hours. That's usually the par for the course. It's usually about 12 to 24 hours into the first season. They go, oops, we got to stop that because something duping's crazy or there's some bug or something. But yeah, I imagine it'll get turned off in the first 24 hours like usual.
yeah, every every single season. And
Yeah.
I have never traded with anybody in this game. I've never made a trade. I've never it, trading still feels super convoluted. Like the act of trading, like having to go seek out via forums or Discord or something like that is not what I want to do. Um, so I
Says
don't
the Path of
trade.
Exile player. But yeah, sure.
Oh, I don't trade in there either.
I
Uh,
know. I know.
so uh, hardcore solo self found, by the way, just putting that out there. Um, yeah, but I do find it comical every time it happens because I mean, one, it doesn't negatively impact me, but there are people who do value trading, and if it was easier,
Oh yeah.
I would be all about it. Um, it I would thoroughly expect it to happen, but ideally, with a PTR, we're not finding trading bugs. It's the overall systems. It's all the stuff that is going to impact our day to day experience with the game. So it seems like they were able to get some good info around then, which makes sense. What I was able to get, and I'm curious if you got the same feeling. It really seems like the initial fear with a lot of the PTR and like the first fireside chat with the PTR was also, about scaling up difficulty. The impression that I got is that that's kind of been walked back. That leveling should be uh, not as laborious as what we maybe would have feared, and then difficulty itself, at least the initial stages, won't have that level of rigor either. Did you get that impression too?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. It's hard to say if that was like them adjusting to the fan reaction or if that was them misspeaking on the last podcast, though I feel like it was more them walking it back than misspeaking because it felt pretty clear that it was meant to be much more difficult. But yeah, I mean, they definitely intend to make the leveling experience more meaningful. Like that's their goal to make it last a little longer so that when you do get that power, it feels better. That's their theory. I don't know if I agree with it yet or not, but that is their theory. I think that they did also say that they swung a little too far on that in PTR. That was kind of one of the other things they'd mentioned was, hey, so we're trying to bring that back to be a little faster than it was in PTR. They're aiming for, I think they said, what was season 6 like leveling progression, um, which I remember all the seasons being very quick. I don't remember any of them being very particularly long or grueling. So yeah, so that tells me it's not going to be that big of a change. We'll see how it feels for sure. Because there's kind of a lot of little pieces that are well, I say little, a lot of big pieces that are changing with this. But I mean, yeah, we'll just have to see because it's until we get our hands on it, it's hard to speculate on it. I don't think that spending more time in the low levels of Diablo 4 is anyone's desire. But if it does feel better and it's not noticeable in the sense that it feels bad, it just feels like you can feel the progression more, then hey, awesome. But I don't have that same optimism that their team has right now.
In some ways, it feels like they're trying to fix something that isn't as much of a problem because I think you need to fix the leveling when the journey matters more, but it
Sure.
doesn't. At the current moment,
Mm.
you want to get to
To the end as quick as possible
you want
to
yeah,
start grinding relevant gear. Yeah.
you want it
There's
all
there's no item you're going to find at level 30 that you're going to want to use at max level.
right.
Like, so what's the point in spending more time there, right? Like, if the idea is to, if there's an end point on your grind in Diablo, everyone wants to get to that end point as quickly as possible, not because they want to be done with the game, but just for efficiency's sake, to then utilize that. At least that's my take. But I mean, I don't know. Again, I could be way off, and maybe it feels really good. Maybe we get to the living experience, we're like, holy shit, you know what? That felt way better this season. I don't see leveling as that impactful to make me even consider it. You know?
No, I wholeheartedly agree. It just each season leveling and playing hardcore, obviously, you have to level a little bit more.
Well, you do because you die all the time. But
Not last season. Um,
yeah, no, last season you didn't. Not last season.
I did pretty well for myself. Uh,
Proud of you, buddy.
thank you, thank you. I just feel like I need to bring that up, but
Yeah, for sure. No.
yeah, I don't foresee a time because like nothing from 1 to 60 matters, right? I mean, we've talked about it time and time again. Until something changes at the top end, then everything on the bottom end is pointless, right? Uh,
Hmm.
like from at least from the hardcore perspective, yeah, getting to 60 and living that still has its. Oh, I froze again. That's fine. Um, Audio is still going. Uh, but from 1 to 60, it still has its purpose. In like
Hmm.
I get to the end, I've lived, but that's it, and that feeling dissipates pretty quickly because I'm still going to keep chasing all of those particular dragons at the end, and
Hmm.
yeah, I let's see. Maybe I'm totally wrong. Maybe this is the complete experience at this point, but I'm not sure.
Yeah, I'm not either, and it's gonna be, it'll have to be felt. Like, I'll have to play it to see. Really, it's gonna be
Right.
tough to speculate, but I'm hopeful. But again, like, hopefully I'm also done leveling in 4 to 6 hours and don't have to worry about it. You know.
Yeah. Any other as we kind of look at the campfire? Any other major things kind of coming to light that
I mean, spoiler alert. As a sorceress main, I am anxiously hopeful. I really want to try a different build this season, and it looks like ice shards might be back on the table. We'll see. Early speculation is that it's still going to be a lightning spear season, which has been every season for many seasons now. So between that and the firebolt builds that were invincible. So I like season starts because I like the shakeup of like what's going to work, and how the
right?
different spells interact with the new items. So I really hope it's worth it. I just want to play a different build this season for sure, and I'm going to try to experiment a little bit. I'm going to try to level a little differently than I normally do, and yeah, we'll see how it goes. So I am after the campfire chat a little more hopeful in that because they are making some tweaks. Um, and again, overall, like, I'm just excited to jump into. It's been a while since I've jumped into D4, so I'm excited to get in. It's about time. It's been feeling like a little bit of a lengthier vacation from Diablo since I kind of tapped out of the season. So I am excited to get back in. But hopefully, leveling isn't isn't as grueling as we originally thought, and feels good, and we can get into that end game. I want Sorcerer's end game to feel good. And they had a lot of really good insights into different adjustments they were making for other classes. I can't speak to them because I don't pay a lot of attention to the other class tunings because I don't play other classes as much. Um, but I mean, again, it just shows they're continuing to tweak, continuing to get builds closer together so that more things are viable at the top end of the pit, and especially with bossing being a big part of, you know, the part of this season with the powers and everything. I really, as a sorceress, just want to be able to contribute to that in a meaningful way in a group with my friends who are typically playing barbarians and rogues and necromancers. So we'll see.
That brings me to the secret part of the show that I didn't share with you. as it
Oh,
is
we got a
the
secret part.
eve of the new season,
It
or
is.
close, I guess. It's not technically the eve, but it is Sunday the 27th. Um, so it's time to guess the max roll S tier builds for season 8. Max roll did
Oh,
put,
that's not fair. It's already up.
yeah, they put it out.
I know I've already seen it, so I already
You,
know them.
yeah, but maybe you don't remember them. Um, so I'm gonna ask. Let's see how well
Okay.
your memory holds up.
Oh
Uh,
boy. All right.
so in the S tier, and that's the only one that really matters. I think we
I
discovered
do
that.
want to stress that this is also like speculative opinion. We don't know how it's going to shake out, and those tier lists don't always know either.
That
But that
that is
said,
true.
they are a good litmus, and about the only litmus we really have. So.
Right. And I think we'd have to go back and take a look at season 7. I think they were actually pretty close on season 7.
No, I mean they usually nail it. There's usually one or two builds that sneak up,
Right.
and then a couple builds that were like really good that maybe not quite as good as we thought they were.
Right.
Which is just video game iteration and bugs being fixed. But
Right.
yeah.
So let's break it down. There are
Okay.
3 barbarian builds, 1 rogue build, 2 necromancer builds, and 1 druid build.
And guess how many sorceress builds?
0.
Yeah.
Also no spiritborn.
Yeah, that's
That's a
true.
class. Any guesses on a barbarian build?
Oh God. I know Mighty Throw got adjusted down, but I want to say it was still S tier.
It is still S tier.
Yep.
Mighty Throw
Okay.
Barbarian projected to be,
It's the bottom of S tier though. I think it was the very last one in S tier.
yes, or second to last
Yep.
one.
Yep. Oh God. What is the build with Barb right now? Is it Hoda?
No,
Whirlwind.
that is another barbarian build that
Okay.
will be
I
found
mean, I
in
mean, I
S
mean, how
tier.
many? There's only so many choices, right? So there's
Right.
only just keep naming skills to get
Just
to one. What's the
eventually,
other Barb build?
Earthquake.
Oh, I knew that. I knew that one. That was the one from last season. I remember that shit. Rip. Well,
Any other ones you want to take a stab at? Rogue Necro Druid.
um, Rogue, the Death Trap build
Yep.
is S tier. Is that the only Rogue build? No, no, no. There's another one.
Nope.
There's a.
Just one.
Is it just one? Okay. Um, Rogue. Okay, so the Necro Bloodwave.
Yep.
Yeah, for sure. Bloodwave for sure. How many Necro builds? Is there two?
There are 2.
Three? There's two. Bloodwave. Oh God. I know it's not Sever because I would be hearing about it from 9. That man loves Sever.
Yeah, he would stop
And I
Monster
know it's
Hunter
not Minions
Wilds.
because I would be hearing about it from my friend. Um, I don't know. What's the second one?
Bone
I don't know that one.
Spirit.
Oh, okay. Okay. Cool.
And then the Druid just hanging out with Cataclysm yet again.
Mm.
Um, so there you go. There's your projected S tier for
Check. I
season
feel like we're projecting
8.
draft picks in the NFL draft right now.
And Sork is just dropping like Shadur Sanders.
Yeah,
No,
yeah.
here you are.
Going third round to the Browns. Let's go.
5th round to the Browns. Um,
Fifth. Sorry. Am
now,
a Browns fan. Feels bad.
oof.
Yep. It's tough.
Yeah. Here we are talking about football. Ugh. Um,
I know sports. It's weird.
yeah. No. Uh, anyways, it's interesting to kind of get that little bit of projection. The only major real change to to the last one, I believe, is I thought Mighty Throw was not in there last time. Maybe it was, but in all reality, there's very little discrepancy between season 7 and season 8.
Yep. Well, and I do want to clarify too, because I don't know if you said it or not. That is the bossing and pit pushing tier list.
Right.
Like the higher end content, the more difficult content. If you look at the speed farming tier list, like Sork owns that whole S tier category because teleport is teleport, and that's awesome. And that's why Sork is always fun because you can always farm the game. And as long as you got barbarian friends like I do, you can pull them in for all your boss kills. That's fine.
Right.
Uh, you know, we win together. But yeah, that's pretty much it.
Yeah, I think the and we'll kind of lead into a little bit on streamer criticism, but when you're
Mm,
looking at the game on season 8, what really drives people to come back to any season is to play with something new, right? A new skill,
hmm
new build, predominantly, right? Because new skills don't really get added. A new build,
Right.
though, can usually maybe be brought online via the items, which seems to be the pathway that they have gone now. It doesn't seem like we really have that this time. It doesn't seem like there's much that is creating a new meta as what we had seen in seasons prior. Like if we go back to, I mean, obviously, last league with or last season with the Kesame's pants for Bloodwave, right? That
Right.
completely revolutionized the way that skill works, and a whole build was brought up as a result of it. Um, I think we just need more of that. You need more of those kind of things. Does it have to be a an item? No, but unfortunately, I think that's just kind of the way we're going. Um, this season doesn't have that. The druid, is getting a helmet that makes casting in human form uh,
Yeah.
maybe
Less
more,
representation on the human form druids out there, so
which
they're
is
trying to fix that.
what I want. Like I,
Yeah.
as a druid, I want to be a human caster druid. The problem is the way the like everything else is built, that even with that helmet, Tempest Roar is probably still better because you want all the plus skills. You want
Yeah.
that synergy that's built into the werewolf and what have you. So it doesn't make as much sense to be built as a human, which is really shitty because like that's the a power fantasy for a druid that I would really want. And I like that they're
Right.
trying to do that. It's just like this doesn't quite do it yet because of,
Right.
it kind of goes back to what we were talking about before of like you got to fix the top end. Well, like if you want that play style to work, you kind of need to untangle the mess of the skill trees, right?
Well, they did mention that, and I think that's
That's
the
a
best part of the whole. They just like snuck that in there in the middle of the campfire chat. And I like had to like pause it and go, wait, what? And then like rewind it. It was like, whoa, they're looking at the skill tree. That's humongous. And quite literally, I think the only thing still remaining that needs to be reworked for this to be a whole new game from launch. So they reworked the skill tree. That's insane. But they outright stated the thing that I have always felt is that I want my character to feel powerful, not my pants. Right? I want my power to come from me, not the pants and the shoes that I decided to put on that day. They should augment and help that power fantasy, absolutely. Like gear is a part of Diablo and a part of RPGs, but like playing a sorceress that's getting all of my power from a staff, and that dictates my modifier for everything that I do, just feels really strange. And how your weapons and how your gear interact with your skills, it just feels like the skills by themselves do nothing until you start adding those modifiers. So if they started adding those modifiers to the skills or buff the skills and remove some of the modifiers, then that would be huge to me. And I don't know that this is a popular opinion from everybody, but it made me really happy when they said that. So it shows that they acknowledge it and they're looking at it.
no,
It might be
I
a long time before we see anything, but
no, I wholeheartedly agree. I feel like the aspect system might be
they
the
mentioned that too.
yeah, like it's just kind of the biggest detriment to Diablo 4 at the moment. I
Yeah,
guess maybe that's a bit of hyperbole because there's other things, but having I think what was once a novelty early on in the life cycle of like, okay, well I gotta make this little Tetris kind of work, and when there were fewer aspects as well, it made some sense of like, oh, it's kind of like crafting. I'm choosing the powers that are happening, but you become too beholden to like this build can only work because of this, and then the
right.
gear doesn't feel as exciting anymore. And like tempering could. Like maybe if we're just tempering rares as opposed to these aspects, that's a Blizzard thing. But I think getting the aspect system removed and put onto the skill tree, as has been suggested several times on this podcast,
Hmm.
could go a long way. It could really change things. And then, figure out what Paragon is as well. But I don't know. I don't know what to do there. But it was exciting to hear that that could possibly be in the works. If
Yeah,
we go back to tempering, we know there's an expansion in 2026, um,
allegedly.
allegedly. Tempering was something that was discussed internally to hold uh, until Vessel dropped, but they
Hmm.
opted to not do that, to roll that out, and obviously form a whole season around it.
Hmm.
Um, I think it would be great to see this kind of skill thing not get held until an expansion, much
Sure.
like that. Like, hey, let's polish this, make it work, and then we'll have the expansion later. That would be my ideal scenario. Maybe it isn't. What our next season is, the Haradrim one. Maybe it's the Chaos one. At that point, they're able to debut what this newer skill tree would look like.
Three
I'd be all
seasons
for that.
feels soon. I mean, I'd be down for sure, but I don't know. I am just glad that they talked about it as far as an expectation for when it'll come into the game. I'm just gonna like not even I don't even want to process that thought because the fact that they even mentioned it shocked me, and I'd rather be surprised and excited than disappointed because I feel like it's gonna come out in 6 months and it doesn't. So, yeah, I would say based on how they're doing things, make sure it's right before it launches for sure. Would love to see it before an expansion. I would love to see an expansion. So those are just the thoughts in my head.
I think that's fair. Uh, okay. So I think we hit the bigger points of the campfire. Yeah, I mean, we're saving one for the
I
end.
mean, we're saving the battle pass. I mean, they went through again, just kind of like their thought process around the ideology, around the PTR, and around their changes, and all those things. And I thought they did a really good job with that stuff. I think that yeah, battle pass is really the only other thing I can think of. I mean, you've got my mind thinking about aspects on skill trees now, so it just kind of went there instead. Yeah, I mean, I don't. Nothing else of note is really popping out to me aside from the Diablo and Berserk collab. That was kind of a piece as well too. But like, I'm not a big Berserk fan. Not a hater by any means, but I'm not a Berserk fan. I've never consumed that media at all. Um,
I'm
and I think they're paid for cosmetics, right? Like they're not free cosmetics; they're paid for
it.
cosmetics.
It looks like it will be integrated into the reliquary where you can get some things, but not all things. I'm not super sure
Okay.
on it.
Got it.
Um,
So yeah, I mean, in the pet looks horrifying. Horrifying. They said it looked cute, and I'm like, dude, I don't know who that looks cute to. I mean, it's really cool, but it's horrifying. Like, who is like all adorable? Like, it's a giant nose person, with legs. It's just weird. Um, but
I,
also horrific, and that's kind of the point. Um, yeah, I mean, I'm not super into Berserk, but hopefully that fan base is super excited. If you're a Diablo and a Berserk fan, then this is just for you. You did it. Because I know that when they dropped, Warcraft stuff in Diablo, I was pretty excited. That was pretty cool. So
I think we, last podcast we're guessing what the IP would be.
yeah, I did. That was not on my radar at all.
Would have never guessed it. Here's to hoping Castlevania's next. That would be awesome.
That would be awesome.
If we're going that route. But what I think surprises me the most about this collaboration is that it's not for everybody. It it's a barbarian, necromancer, and a rogue set.
Yeah,
It I don't know. Like I think of the Warcraft ones that came through. Everybody had something that you could choose for your particular class. And I think
Well, there's
people
a lot more. I think there's a lot more things in Warcraft that you can piggyback into Diablo, and it makes sense.
right.
I don't know enough about Berserk. Maybe these are just the things that made the most sense. And I also know that we have a very cynical community. And so, like, if they came out and had an item for every person, then I can already hear the fan base being like, oh, they're just shoehorning this in to get more microtransactions from people. And they wanted to make sure they included every class to be inclusive. By doing it this way, they could just be like, no, we only took things that made sense for Diablo to put them in here. Like, I can hear that PR line. Um, who knows? But they look cool.
Yeah.
Like it looks cool. As a sorceress, I have my skin for my Barbie doll already, so I won't be needing another one.
Yeah, I mean, I get that particular perspective, but like they're already adding in microtransactions to make money. So
Right.
what's three more in all reality?
Oh,
Uh,
for sure, I agree.
Now I'm not a huge Berserk person. I know of it. I have never consumed it. I'm intrigued. I may dig into it when I find some
Will you dig
time.
into it now because of the collab?
Uh, no, it's been like on the radar for me. Like I've heard it mentioned. I'm a huge Dark Souls and like really Souls likes in general, and that is a huge influence on that that particular series. So
Hmm.
it's been there, but I just haven't dug much further than just knowing just a little bit here and
Knowing
there.
of it. Sure.
Um, but I don't know. I guess I was surprised that it was limited in that capacity. But yeah, who knows? Let's come back to that though, because that's a almost a battle pass type debate. In tandem
Sure.
with the campfire chat, we did see a little bit of mm, maybe it's not vitriol, but I think more apathy from the Diablo community. A lot of streamers not feeling super inclined to dig into this season, not feeling super inclined. Maybe they'll play a little bit, but not as invested, which in some ways totally logical, right? The game's been out for a while. There's a lot of other games that people stream. If that's how you make your living, does it make sense to stream Diablo 4 as a main game anymore? If like
Um,
if you are using, Twitch and YouTube as your job, right? Does it make
I don't
sense
know.
in 2025 to be streaming Diablo 4 anymore?
I don't know. I don't have enough information or intelligence or knowledge to make that value statement. But I would say that, um, as a hardcore Diablo fan who messes around with streaming every time a season starts, there's no way in hell. Yeah, no, you'd have to. I feel like you'd have to have pretty significant revenue stream coming from other sources to be able to prop that up for you. I just think that Diablo's in a place right now to where if you play it the way a streamer would need to play it, like all day every day, the way that they would, you run out of content quite fast. And I think you see that from the people that do stream regularly. They jump in and out of Diablo because you kind of have to. And that makes sense, right? And I think that the ARPG fan base does the same thing. So I think they kind of echo that, right? Like if you're watching your favorite ARPG streamer, they probably play Diablo and Path and Last Epoch and some form of Torchlight, and they probably jump into Diablo 2 ladders every now and then, right? Like I know because I watch them too, right? So it's but as far as I mean, I assume that if it could be done and it was smart to just stream Diablo 4 and stay on Diablo 4 all the time, then somebody would be doing it. But I don't know of anyone that is making significant, headway in that space.
Yeah. And I think
I
like
see people putting in work in that space, but you know, the runway's only so long.
yeah. Um it I saw the light go off this time. There it goes. I'll figure that out next episode, I promise. Um but I it was interesting to kind of see like some streamers put up videos just saying like, hey, I'm not going to be blasting in D4, I'll show up, but like I'm not doing guides. I'm not doing anything. Like in some ways, more just disheartened. It seemed like. Um, I think this is just more of an effect of the sameness of the seasons that we're seeing. Kind of going back to what we talked about early on, and like you coming back to an ARPG, like expecting something new, something different, a different play style. Ideally, I think that's where that sentiment comes from, where they're just like, guys, I already did this. I did this for a long time. I don't feel the need to kind of come back and do the same thing. Granted, it's an ARPG every ARPG is the same thing all the time. You move, you kill
Right.
something, you get loot. But if that is less than rewarding, then yeah, you're not going to go back to it.
Well, you have to enjoy what you're doing. To do it for that length of time, you have to have fun doing it. Not to say that Diablo is not a fun game, but after a while, you get to a point where you're just kind of spinning your tires, as it were. Which I understand, because that's the point where me and you and many other people who play, maybe more than the average casual, but not nearly as much as streamers and things like that. I think that's where we also tap out, right? Where it's like, okay, cool. Well, now my return on the investment of my time in isn't super there, and I'm really tired of doing Infernal Hordes, and I can only push so far in the pit before I want to gouge my eyes out. So yeah, um, but I think that like the more they continue to iterate on the game, the more that'll get better. But I think Diablo's always been one of those games where it kind of is a jump in, jump out type situation, bounce between different ARPGs that are hot, and that's the reason why the ARPG community is so demanding, I think, of their product too, because we play so many games. We have to, right? Just to kind of keep that interest and keep um that same feeling, but in different contexts. Um, so yeah, I don't know. I think that it would be really hard for me to say if it's possible or not. I am sure people out there are very smart and can do that for sure. But I just don't see there being like I can't think of anyone off the top of my head who is only a Diablo 4 streamer, right? I could think of a few that are primarily and put most of their time into Diablo 4 more than other games, for sure. But I think they still play Path, they still play Last Epoch, they still jump into other games too, and that's okay. Um, I don't think that Diablo is like World of Warcraft or like a Fortnite or like a game that can where you can have those kinds of longevity.
Yeah, I think that's totally fair. I don't think any ARPG is at the and you bring up like playing 8 to 10 hours a day is a lot,
And how do you make that rewarding for someone who's done it for 300 hours and also someone who's done it for 20?
right? Yeah, I
That's tough.
absolutely. I feel like streaming is becoming and has become so much bigger, and it's so integrated into everything that like it is a massive challenge because you make a game and look at Diablo, look at the expansion. It has many hours of content. It doesn't have infinite hours of content.
Right.
And for some, like that's a bad thing. And for some it's like, no, that is kind of logical. But what I will say is we look at that argument though, while it may not have infinite hours, I think the general expectation is that a new season introduces some more into it. And I think what the sentiment of that particular community has been is that this season just doesn't have, that extra 50, 60, 70 hours that they could spend, that week, that 2 weeks, whatever it would be, that
Right.
it's just not there for them. And I get that. I think that's fair and valid. There are those like certain streaming things that are missing. If you were to look at like Last Epoch just put out their recent update, Tombs of the Erased, and there was like a push. There are people leveling. You're getting notifications of the first person to hit level 100 or level 90 or whatever it is, and then the the Uber boss, right? The pinnacle boss is out there, and you're getting, you're seeing people push for it and try to get you know, the title of the first one to down it. Not super present in this one. Yes, we did the Belial is present, but defeating Belial doesn't feel any more special than anything else that we had prior. Um,
I don't know that. I mean, I don't know that. Like I haven't
well,
played it. I
yeah,
didn't play the PTR, right? If that's the sentiment, then okay. But I think that we're not to the season yet. Like I remember the first time I killed Lilith, and I damn sure was proud of that, right? Like I remember beating Lilith in preseason before the first season started, and it was hard and it was borderline bullshit, but it was a fight. And when I finally beat it, like I fucking took a lap around the house. I was excited. And if Belial is a challenge on that level and I have fun with the fight and I complete it, then I feel like I would enjoy that. I think that's the thing though, is that like Diablo hasn't had that in there since the game launched, right? And so like that's the thing about the like the seasons that they've been doing, is they're giving these different powers, and it's not that the UI feels samey or the powers feel samey. It's that there isn't another new challenge. Even if there is a new Uber boss, they're usually not as powerful as Lilith, right? But Belial is supposed to be the new penultimate, right? So maybe that shifts a little bit. Again, I don't know that boss content is what my draw to any game is anyway. Um, but I won't know till I get in. I really hope that when I kill Belial the first time, the big Belial, the real Belial, I hope that that's a cool feeling, because I mean, fun boss kills are fun. Um, but I think it's too soon to say.
I think, and here's why I would disagree with you on that. I don't think Diablo is made to have those moments. I don't feel like anything on the boss ladder, and I know they are trying to change that, but it's still going to remain. I'm just trying to as quickly one shot this so that I can resummon it and one shot it again to get whatever item I happen to be chasing. I
And I think that's the difference. That's the problem, is that it's a different mentality, right?
Right,
Like you're not farming bosses to be badass. You're farming bosses to get specific loot. They made the bosses the way to get the specific loot, so you have to do that to get that specific loot.
right.
If they made bosses that were incredibly difficult, and after beating them one time you got a really special reward that was impactful to either your build or to your account, from a cosmetic standpoint or otherwise, then I think it would be cool. But is that what the fan base wants, or is that what like 0.5% of the fan base wants?
And
um
I think that's a valid thing of, like that is if we look
I
at it
don't care about bosses,
right.
right? So like, as someone who's played Diablo for almost 30 years, I don't care. I like the story. I like loot. I like grinding and smashing lots of monsters. Fighting one monster for 5 minutes is not a fun time for me. I will do it when I have to. I will do it to complete my dungeon, but that's not the goal. You know?
Right. Yeah, and Diablo in general has never had difficult bosses. Bosses themselves have never really been challenging.
Right. Or like crazy mechanical, like, I mean, look at like Diablo 2 and like Mephisto and Diablo and Bale. Like those fights were pretty simple. They were hard because they're tuning,
Right.
not because they were like you had to dodge mechanics and all this stuff. No, if you get hit by a mechanic, you were just dead, right? Like if you got hit by Diablo's Hellfire and couldn't kill him in time, then GG.
Yeah.
It's kind of how it was. It was all a gear check. But gaming evolved since then, and I think that um, Diablo struggled in the beginning and even now in trying to find its identity. And I think the developers have even acknowledged that they're trying to determine that identity. And I think that they want to be a little bit Dark Souls. And I think that's a terrible take. I think that's a terrible. Dark Souls is great for what it does, and that should remain in Dark Souls and not come into my Diablo.
I think that that is fair. I like I still think I have enjoyed more of a Path of Exile boss defeat than
Oh man, they
anything
have
else.
some very cool bosses in Path for sure. Um very cool bosses in Path. But again, like I couldn't tell you their names now.
Right. Um
And I didn't take a lap around the house or spend weeks and weeks and weeks trying to farm it like I did with Lilith. But
I
I'm also not as big of a Path fan, so
in early Path of Exile 1, one of the bosses, one of the like the end bosses was called the Shaper. And
I've heard the name.
he had a good loot pool, but he also had a chance to drop a special hideout. So I finally got enough currency to run him a bunch during the tail end of a
Mm.
season, and I think I killed him 40 times. And then like it was obviously on my last attempt that I did finally get it. And I still use that hideout to this day because it all carries over. Um,
Mm.
that was one of those moments. Like the defeating him for the first time felt great. And then to chase something that like I knew was more of like a trophy that would carry on for a long time was then the driving factor.
Right.
I think you are onto something with these boss kills, like having something built in where you have that long term reward of it, and something different than here's here's a thing for your horse, or here's
Yeah.
like that. That's where like the like going back to it, like that hideout
Like give me
is
like a
awesome.
super give me like a super unique, like, I don't know, like profile picture for my BattleNet launcher, right? Or like I remember, for instance, God, Gears of War, the original Gears of War, there's an achievement that was called seriously dot dot dot. And it was to get 10,000 multiplayer kills, which was a lot of kills in a game where you didn't have constant respawns. That game, it was 4v4, which means you could get a max of 4 kills every round and a minimum of 0. 4 kills per round takes a long time to get to 10,000. But when you got it, you got this super badass like gamer picture of like Marcus Phoenix with the whole background on fire. I still, like, to this day, remember getting that achievement, and I still use that icon on my Xbox a lot. And that was like 2007, 8, something like that, or 6, maybe even earlier. Um, I mean, like, that was really cool. Now, mind you, I don't know if there's a big pool for, like, BattleNet user icons or Steam user icons, so I don't know that that's a good reward. But like, as an example of a reward that felt really cool, and I still am proud of it to this day, and I don't even know why. Um, yeah, it's just that would be really awesome. But yeah, a little like trophy mount to attach to your horse's ass while it trots around. I mean, while can look very cool, is not something that, one, you notice very often, and two, others don't really notice very often. It just doesn't stick as much. Um, but game development is hard, and rewarding your players for what they do is hard. That's why I don't do it. So, um, I just hope that they can find a way to make that work for the fan base.
Yeah. I think we'll file that under the we'll see column. And we will see. We will see on Tuesday at least. What are your plans for season launch on Tuesday?
Man, spoiler alert. I'm probably gonna play Sorceress.
Bold.
I know, I know. How about you? What are your plans?
Uh Honestly, I still am unsure. I'm in between Druid and Spiritborn at the moment.
Shocker.
Yeah, I didn't really play either that much last season. Druid feels like it will be the easiest to get going because I was just reading earlier that 1 to 25, not to expect any legendaries. And I don't want to, I don't know, just kind of be locked in and waiting for an aspect that's never going to drop. So I'm thinking Druid, but Spirit Board's kind of fun too.
Yeah. Are you I still, and I can appreciate what it means to the Diablo team to have these launch on a Tuesday, but Tuesday launches are the worst. Because I can't do anything. I mean, I'll be able to play when I get home from work that evening for about 2 to 3 hours if I'm lucky.
Yeah.
Um, and that's it. That's all I'll be able to do. So, yeah, it's kind of sucks. But hopefully I'll be able to run into the weekend, and my friends won't be done with it by then. That's the goal. I think that's the problem that I have with the kind of the cadence and the schedule they run, is that sometimes with the group of people I play, some of which have more free time during the day than I do, we get to Friday where I finally have time to sit down and play, and most of my friend groups like, okay, cool. Well, I've already moved on to another game now, so I'm like, cool. Well, I'm gonna start now. So yeah, hopefully I get a little more time in it this season. But I will say that the group of guys I normally play with seem pretty excited. Everyone's looking to jump in. I know I've got a group of a few people that are coming, so we should have at least a full group, if not more. Which is always good, right? Having a group of friends to play with makes it more fun. So
Yeah, absolutely. I think I will be in on Tuesday, and I'll, I think my plan at the moment, I'm still very much loving Path of Exile 2. I'm going to put it to the side and dive in on hardcore, and then I'll just kind of juggle, like with each death, like, go back here. Um,
just jump between them.
yeah, I think that's the plan. I had made mention of it, I made mention of it before, but like playing hardcore always adds this longevity to the game, right? There's always like just that little extra challenge for me where it takes me a little bit longer to maybe get to max level. It takes me a little bit longer,
Right.
um, to clear out and get to a torment 4, but like it always feels just a little bit better by doing it. If these difficulty changes are happening and there is that little bit more rigor, I would expect to die at least this season before completing the season's journey, which will then add a little bit more time on it. And ideally, it's not to say that death is going to make my experience this season better, but there's like that little bit of a drive, right? Oh, I died. Shit, that sucked. Well, now I want it more. Now I don't want that to happen. Um, and I do hope that is at least the case, kind of going into this. And let's see which character I kill first. Maybe it's a druid.
Right.
Maybe it's a spiritborn. Um, not super set on it. I was having this conversation earlier. I still just don't. I love the druid. I don't like the way it plays, like just how it has been laid out. It just doesn't.
That means you don't like the druid.
I think that's it. I think I
That's what that means, right? Like, I like the druid, but I don't like the druid, is what you basically just said.
yeah, I it has all of the things
You
I
want to like the druid, but mechanically it does not operate the way you wish it would.
yeah, it has all
Yep.
the things there that I would like, but to play it to get to anywhere that I would want my character to be involves doing things I just don't want to do, right? I don't
Yeah.
want to be a werewolf who casts storms. And we mentioned before, like they're adding in the helmet. They understand that it's not quite there. Um, like it's too synergistic between all the forms. Companions are in this weird spot on the tree where they are not integrated to anywhere but their one circle. It
Hmm.
just doesn't it just doesn't feel as good as the D2 druid. Like the D2 druid, even with its tiny little skill tree, felt better with the choices I was making. I felt like I could carve out a more unique identity to the class that I can't do here, because like no matter what, I'm still going to have to switch into having a werewolf skill or a bear skill or something, which disrupts that flow. So yeah, you're right. I like the class. I don't love the class.
Well, I think that was a design choice. I mean, they made the choice to make it to where your skills were tied to a form. So when you cast a skill, you turn into that form. Thematically, that's really cool. But if you were a druid that sees druids as not just shapeshifters, then that's a problem.
Yeah,
So it makes sense.
yeah.
Makes sense.
I just want to have a bunch of ravens and a bunch of wolves and a bear pet. That's it. That's all I want. I want to be a necromancer, but not.
So you want a zoo druid?
Yeah, that's my preferred. And like maybe toss a few magma boulders around and just live a good life. That's it. Nothing major.
Okay. Nothing major. No big deal. NBD.
It's just what I want, man. It's just what I want. Okay. Now we're just dovetailing into class complaints. Let's get to the real complaints. Here it is, guys. I'm sure Rush will timestamp this. Like, let's get to it. Let's talk about the battle pass. Let's talk about reliquaries. Let's talk about the changes coming to this season. Um, so, full disclosure, as a Diablo partner, we do typically get a free battle pass, and
I don't get shit.
you don't get
So
shit. Sorry.
so
Uh,
there's that.
so I have not paid for a battle pass since the start of the game, which is pretty sweet, and thank you Blizzard for that. But I want to take this as from the perspective of somebody who would be, if this never happened, I would probably still be buying battle passes. We talked about this, when we were doing the early episodes of our expectations, and would we drop in the $10 and get the battle pass and what have you. Um, they're making some changes to the battle pass. Let's talk about the battle pass as it is currently. You spend your currency, or you might have platinum left over. You can buy the battle pass. The battle pass will go from levels 1 to 90, right? So you have 90 different times in which you are going to be rewarded with something. Smoldering ashes are going to come up. How many times do we get smoldering ashes? 12. So, right, 4 in each thing. Is it 12 or 16?
I actually think it's 20.
20
I don't
smoldering
remember.
ashes?
Maybe it's 16. I don't know. I don't remember.
Somebody will math that. Either way, you're not getting 90 rewards. Some of those are smoldering ashes, but let's math. I'm gonna do napkin math. Let's just drop it down to 70. At least you would get 70 things. Of those, you would get 2 armor sets, right? You get the first lesser version of the like plate or whatever it happens to be, and then you get the super fancy one all the way at the end.
You also get like a basic cosmetic set
Yep.
too, like a clothing cosmetic set. And I actually like the clothing sets more than I've liked any of their other cosmetic sets. Well, except for the Warcraft ones.
Right.
But yeah.
So you're paid. We're talking just the paid subscribe. This is just a paid battle pass. Um,
Hmm.
you're going to get those 2 armor sets. You're going to get a myriad of other weapons. You get the other cosmetic set as well. So we're talking 3 class agnostic, and I think that's important. Class agnostic sets, which are only existing in the battle pass. Every other set that you are going to purchase on BattleNet is class specific. This is the only time that you get class agnostic gear to kind of make your character look the way you ideally want it to be. You also are going to get 2 mounts and, uh, you know, horse armor, whatever. But I would argue for the $10 that you were paying, you were getting a pretty good return. That also there was the tier skips that were built into the premium one that always felt kind of weird because they just skipped you the first 20 and you didn't get to choose how to skip or like when to skip it, which I thought would be the case, but that doesn't matter. That's not going to happen anymore. And along the way, you would get about 700 platinum. Platinum being the currency to be used on the shop, and then can also be carried over to purchase, another battle pass or just something you like. In fact, everything I've purchased from the shop has been courtesy of the battle pass. With having that extra platinum there, it was just all right, I've got 2,800 here. That World of Warcraft set looks really cool. I can justify that because what else am I going to do with it?
Sure.
If you were a non-paid person using the battle pass, you would always get those smoldering ashes. That was class agnostic. You would get the non-premium armor. So you would get at least 1 class agnostic set. And then a couple other small things along the way, maybe a weapon skin, what have you. No platinum.
Hmm.
And that was the general gist. Now we're going to change it. We're going to bring out reliquaries. These reliquaries, there's the free reliquary that everybody's going to get, and then there's 3 more paid ones that you can kind of pick and choose if you want. There's beasts, weapons, and something else. Beast weapons, armor. I don't remember.
I have no idea.
It's okay. It's not relevant. What is relevant is pointing out some discrepancies. As you were to go in, uh, the big bonus is if you've never bought a battle pass and you plan to never keep buying a battle pass, you will actually earn platinum this season. The beginning tier for the reliquary will net you 200 platinum, and then a couple of other things along the way, a couple weapon skins, and you get one piece of what is the classic Gnostic set. You get the gauntlets. That's all you get in the free side. If you want more than that, if you want to earn a classic Gnostic set, you're gonna have to dip into the reliquary. And you won't get the full set unless you buy all of it. This feels like a major downgrade, and
Buy, hang on real quick. Buy, but that's with the in-game currency that you get through the battle pass, right? Like it's not purchasable
the reliquary.
with cash.
No, so you have these four sections, and essentially you will have to pay money for the ability to unlock the rest of the reliquaries. So you're going to start with the introductory reliquary that everybody gets, right? But if you buy the battle pass, you'll have the choice to start earning rewards on any of these particular reliquaries. And that's where the pick and choose option goes of like, oh, I've earned X amount of favor. I'm going to cash that in to get the mount from beasts. I'm going to cash that in to get this particular weapon. I'm going to cash that in to get this particular, town portal or whatever. that's that's essentially how this new system's going to work. It will allow you to kind of pick and choose of like, okay, it's time for my, what would have been on the old one, my tier 70 reward. But it's a headstone. I never use headstones, right? I would rather have gotten this, so I'm going to go grab it from here instead. That's essentially how it's going to work, but you have to buy in for that.
Okay.
It doesn't feel, and obviously I haven't interacted with it. I don't particularly care for it. It does not strike me as an upgrade to the current system. There was a clear linear approach to the last system. It was very set and forget, which I kind of appreciated. I didn't have to interact with it too often. It was just something that was happening in the background, which I preferred. This, I kind of have to go back. I have to pick, I have to choose. And then I'm actually getting less than what I would in the previous seasons. Now, I think you have the most valid opinion on this because you are going to vote with your cash, right? What does this new system do for you? Is this something that you would like, or is it a lesser version?
I don't know. And I don't have big opinions on it. I don't like so for me the battle pass situation like I've bought some battle passes. I've never bought a premium one. I got a premium battle pass with the purchase of the whatever big version of Diablo 4 I got at the beginning, and it was auto redeemed in the first season against my will, and so I didn't buy any for a minute. Um, and anytime I have bought them, I've bought them because of typically the portal cosmetic was like, ooh, I want that portal cosmetic. So I'll go ahead and do that to get that cosmetic at the end of the battle pass. The armor sets I'll kind of use mixes and matches of them, but I've paid for premium cosmetic sets, so I'm more interested in using those anyways. Um, it depends. I mean, like you said that you have to go back to make choices. Well, you kind of do it with the urns too, with the ashes you got. You had to go apply the ashes to whatever category, and I mean it was pretty straightforward with what you were going to choose. And I feel like this one is too. Like I feel like the XP one, you're gonna go for that one first, and you're gonna go for I feel like there's an order to the things, an order of operations. Um, until I play it, I won't know. If it's another Diablo is a game that suffers from too many goddamn currencies, and reliquaries is just another word I get to say now, along with all the other words for all the other currencies this stupid game has. So, yeah, I don't know. I'm not outraged by it, and I don't. It didn't even like clock as an issue on my radar because I don't have to spend money to do it. I don't have to do it, right? Like it's not required for me. Um, and I was looking at the actual sets, like the stuff you get from it, and yeah, it doesn't seem super great. So yeah, I don't know. But if I've got enough platinum sitting around, will I pay for it with the platinum I have already built up? Probably at some point. You know, it's one of those things where cosmetic purchases is such an out of sight, out of mind thing for me because it's not required, right? If I had to do it, then cool. Having big opinions about it feels a bit because I'll be honest with you, all the stuff we get from every other season pass, there's probably a lot of cosmetics I've never even touched because you get so much bullshit in it. And I think that like reducing the amount of stuff because I don't care like whatever time you're spending to design these items, no one gives a shit. Move on. Do something else. Work that skill tree. Get to work on Diablo 5. Whatever the fuck you're going to do, right? Any amount of design time going into that feels like a waste of resources um, and mental energy. So yeah, no big opinions from me on this. I think that if it's less, the people are going to be outraged by it for sure. But it's still so convoluted to me that until I get it in front of me, it's hard to say.
I think you have a fair point there. I mean, how often have you changed the headstone that you have for when you die?
One time at the beginning of a season, and that's it. If I played hardcore, I'd probably do it more.
Oh, I'd never do because like if when I die, I don't,
Well, you die. You
like
die anyway. So
nobody,
never mind. So
yeah, who
yeah,
cares?
no, yeah. I change my portal. I do a transmog at the beginning of a season to look kind of like a schlub. I want to look like a low B character for a while, and then once I feel like I've hit the appropriate power level, I put on better pieces of gear so I look cooler. Try to theme it around whatever skill I'm doing. If I'm doing fire stuff, then I want to look all fiery, whatever. Um, but yeah, I mean, it's not like I'm spending a ton of time in those windows, right? If I'm in town and I see someone else use a town portal, I'm like, oh, what is that town portal? I haven't seen that one before. I'm actually more into I think the town portal cosmetics than any other cosmetic in the game because they stand out the most. Um, but we'll see. I mean, like I said, I've engaged with the battle pass system. I intended, and I remember talking about it before the game came out, to buy a lot more of the battle passes. Um, but I haven't cared, so I haven't.
Hmm. I think it'll be interesting to let's put a pin in this and we'll come back to it in about 2 weeks.
Yeah,
I'd be really curious to see that and to like see your reaction um after playing with it. I think like I don't particularly care about the battle pass, right?
but it feels like an odd downgrade.
It does feel like a downgrade, and I think like the other part of it is like this is, year 2. This is what is kind of funding the game, right? Like isn't that why these exist, is to keep more money coming into the franchise, keep things
Which I'm down
going.
for if we're getting content worth the franchise
Right.
keeping going. It's kind of like a band that breaks up because they just run out of shit. They did their best shit and now they're done with shit, right? And it's just one of those things to where like maybe they just need to stop making cosmetics. Maybe their best shit's behind them and maybe just focus that design implementation elsewhere.
Not gonna
Maybe.
happen.
No,
No.
I know they gotta make the monies from the store. I know.
Right. So, and I imagine that's a completely different team out there. Let's see how it plays out. I can say like I'm not thrilled by it. I'm not, again, I'll go with a wait and see approach. Let's
Yeah, that's where I'm at. Wait and see. I might have huge opinions in 2 weeks. Right now, Yeah, I just feel like, okay, cool. The battle pass is changing. I'll see what it looks like when I get in there. Right? It's where do I put my experience buff? That's where do I put? Okay, right there. Cool. Done.
Right.
All right,
Well,
sweet.
the ashes are separate from the battle pass now. Like they are
Oh
not
yeah,
like it is you earn them from the
they're not
season's
linked.
journey. So
Yeah,
that's something else. I don't know. We're we're nitpicking. We're nitpicking. It's a battle pass. It's a downgrade, but it is just a battle pass. There are bigger fish to fry.
bigger fish to fry for sure.
Yeah.
But I mean, who knows? Maybe it is horrendous. Maybe it's absolutely horrendous, and the outrage out there is legitimate. I don't know. We'll see. We'll see. You know, I'm hopefully optimistic, despite my best efforts.
Wow. That's a rarity for you. Okay. So there it was. There's the battle pass controversy. Obviously, if you guys have thoughts on it, if we weren't negative enough, yeah, let us know. We can try to bring that back. Try to channel that a little bit. Really, just spit some vitriol here. I think that's what we are best known for, vitriol and hot takes. That is the specialty in the hour-long format that we go through. In fact, if we don't have 10 to 20 hot takes per episode, like why would we even put this out? We got to get that
Right?
clipped up, put on the TikTok. Um, do we have a TikTok? Rush, did you set up the
I don't.
Diablo podcast TikTok? Do we are we not on TikTok? Um,
I think there's an age limit on that. I think we're too old.
Yeah. I apologize to anybody who wants us to be on TikTok, but I can't dance and I don't feel the need to be on that app. I think it's just that, right?
Yeah, I would agree.
I would jokingly do a dance, but I can't because our editor will clip it and do something with it. So I'm not going to even try.
Yeah.
You can't
Yep,
do
it's
that.
true. Get him, Rush.
Please don't. Please don't do that. Okay. So we've talked a lot tonight. Uh, we've established we won't create a TikTok. Sorry.
It's true.
Any last thoughts as you are in preparation for season 8 here?
No, I just like I said, I really hope the changes feel good in the new season. I think we all do. I think that um you know, battle pass outrage aside, I hope the game's good. Get the you know, if the game's good, the battle pass doesn't matter, right? If the game's bad, the battle pass being bad will just be highlighted further, you know. So yeah, I'm really excited for a new season. I've got some buddies that are excited too. I wish the seasons were launching on weekends and not on Tuesdays, but you know, it is what it is. I'll live. The game will be there on Friday.
Yeah.
Um, Not really a reason to race, anyways. I just like to. Um, but yeah, no, I'm really excited to get in and hopefully play something that isn't Lightning Spear. We'll see.
uh, okay. Now, here's the end question. This is not a question that we're going to talk about, but it's a question we're going to pick up on the next episode.
Ooh.
So you can start prepping, and I want you to think about this during your playtime, and I want everybody out there who listens to think about this during your playtime. This is our second season that has a 4-month gap.
Okay.
When you're playing, ask yourself, was this season worth waiting 4 months for?
Mm.
As opposed to the traditional 3. Does this feel like it needed that extra month? The last time we did it was Loot Reborn, right? That one felt like it needed it.
Sure.
And it played really well. I played a bunch of that. Is that going to be the same case with this one? So I'm curious. Obviously, we don't know yet. We can't debate
I'm gonna
that.
go
We
ahead and
can't.
say no, hard no, it will not be. Temper expectations. You're trying to create outrage. No, don't do it, team. Don't do it. It's not going to be as impactful, right? Different design schedule. It's okay.
We don't know. So ask yourself that question, report
Okay.
back, and
Okay.
we'll. I think that it'll be the guiding question into the next episode of This was 4 months. Was it worth it so far? Uh,
And hopefully we can pull a 9 ball out of his rock.
God, here's to hoping. So ideally, the trio,
Blessings in 9 ball once again, sir.
he doesn't listen. You can say all you want.
I know, but it's just putting good juju out in the air,
Right.
that the universe might bless our friend.
This is also a great time to shit talk him. And we can do it publicly and put it on the internet, and he would have no idea.
That's true. It's true. The unfortunate truth is he's too nice a guy.
Yeah, like I say we could do it, like, but what would we say?
Yeah,
So
no, that's
I think he just needs to
nothing.
know that we could. This was our opportunity. We chose not to, but he wouldn't listen
Yeah,
anyway.
we did not choose violence, 9 ball. Know this.
Yeah. So, anyways, let's close it out as we always do with a moo, moo, moo.
Moo moo moo.